And we are live. Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Those Are Biscuits. I almost said Let's Play. Welcome to Those Are Biscuits, your weekly live streaming talk show right here on YouTube, featuring me, Jonathan Cadotte, and my good pal, Owen Adams.
Hello. It's episode 122. Yeah. I didn't tell you that beforehand, so you didn't know.
My God.
I know. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah. If you haven't joined us before, this is a live streaming show. At one point it was a podcast, but now it's more of a live streaming show where we take in questions as we go. We talk about pop culture things, and we interact with our crowd, which I already mentioned.
Yeah. Drop in the chat.
If
say hello. Yeah, ask us some questions.
Drop in. Ask us, yeah, exactly what Owen said. We're just finishing up getting set up a little bit. We'll be posting some links and announcing on social media and whatnot. So in the meantime, just relax, calm down.
Calm down.
Momentarily.
Calm down. Don't panic.
Hey, you calm it down over there. Don't make me.
Yes, indeed. How are you, John? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Let me just drop into the chat myself here.
So we talked about this a little bit before the stream. Had a little anxiety ramble, but can I just say how much just switching to it's now a live YouTube show and there isn't another podcast, we can just focus on being the best YouTube show possible.
Right.
How relaxed that actually makes me feel compared to worrying about how this is going to do as a podcast as well.
Nice. Yeah.
I think it's a good fit. How are you feeling about it? How do you feel? Do you feel sad to lose the old podcast way?
There's a few things. Like I used to like having a theme song, you know.
Yeah, I miss the theme song. But we could work that back over time.
Yeah. I guess there's no reason why we can't have this stuff in a live stream, but like we used to have like the segments on the podcast, and we kind of phased those out.
We can bring those back. I think we've been going through kind of a transition phase lately where we've been getting used to doing them as live streams. Right. And I think we can bring those back. It's just a case of like renewed focus, I guess. That's how I'm feeling about it.
Yeah.
But I love doing this show. So, we'll make it work, John. We'll put it together.
Yeah.
Work for the future.
We'll get it through together. We'll make it somehow.
The more I try and reassure you everything's fine, the more I think it sounds like we're on the verge of collapse. And next week will just be an announcement that's like, there will be no more show.
Well, my parents like, you keep on reassuring me. You're the one who's worrying.
I know, literally. Okay. It's because I'm worrying about everything right now. I'm a manic depressive, right? I go through phases.
I'm just manic.
I go through phases of being literally ultra workaholic and phases of not being able to get out of bed unless my butt literally has turned 200% rash. That's my two phases. Rash butt and the Flash butt.
Without the heroics. And,
or the super speed.
Or the sense of justice.
Literally just... You know how Barry Allen has that constant sense that he's not got enough time to do everything and it's ironic because he's the Flash? Mm-hmm. That without the super speed. That's me. Most of the time.
All right, real quick, just saying hi to the people in chat. Hello, Time to Cook. Hello, Blaz. Welcome.
Hello. We've just been discussing the future of the show, the nature of where we're going with it.
Yeah. This is going to be transitioning almost entirely into... I mean, not almost entirely. Into a live streaming talk show. Not really a podcast anymore.
But we've already worked out... I'm sorry.
Sorry, we've already worked out a way to archive the old shows so you can always access them when you need to. When it's required. I really want to hear that old episode. Oh God, I really need to hear about the Duffel Muffle Truffle Shuffle.
Right, I really want to see that episode where they had said milk a lot. It's really important. Can you imagine if that was like the next James Cameron movie? It's a dark alley. There's like lightning, you know. Arnold Schwarzenegger stands up naked. He walks through the street and you're like, where's he going? He goes to the gun store and he goes to buy a gun. Then he goes to the Apple store and he buys an iPod, logs into the podcast app. He's like searching, where is the one where they say milk? In the future, Sarah, one podcast is going to change the world.
We have to find Owen and Jonathan. Their podcast kicks off Skynet.
He gets to the future, and it's 30-foot high robots roaming Los Angeles going, Charles! Charles! Charles!
And you just hear this thundering echo from a distance, just bink.
And Sarah Connor's like... Sarah Connor's like, what, have they like replaced humanity? No, they won't shut up.
Everything's going just fine, but damn. Like,
it's really annoying.
They think they're super funny. Like,
we're not allowed to publish news stories about ghosts anymore. Like, all fast food restaurants have been shut down for our safety.
Yeah. Fast food drive-through workers have become enemy number one.
They
lined them in the streets, man.
The first ones had rubber skins. We could spot those easy. This is a giant plastic man going, milk. Milk.
It was a little difficult because they did look surprisingly like Nick Cage, but we're pretty sure we did accidentally kill Nick Cage. But
we just use one of the plastic ones instead now. He's almost as good. He's better, in fact.
Yeah. Won an Oscar.
Huh. Hello, recent listeners who have no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. It's like,
so we are probably...
They just don't get it. They think they're so funny. One just interrupts the other one all day, and the other one desperately wants to be Kevin Smith. Like, it's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Kevin Smith has, in fact, been shot into space for crimes against humanity. Your influence destroyed all human culture. And he's like, oh shit.
It's like, we actually really like you, Kevin Smith, but because Jonathan was so influenced by you, you're kind of culpable by this.
He's strapped in like Doomsday at the end of Return of Superman.
Right.
He's strapped to the rocket, it's firing up, and as it sets off on the launch pad, there's just Jason Mewes just salutes and sheds a single solitary tear. He just trickles down gradually.
Snooches.
You're like, you saying goodbye to your best friend? No, my career. So hey, how you doing? I am going to commence uploading old episodes to the YouTube channel, so people can view them on there, and then eventually we'll move it all onto that. But for now, you can still get all the old episodes before we started streaming, and even a few after, on the original podcast link, which is still available on iTunes. Just a reminder. Just worth keeping that up to date. But until then, this is basically a live show where we take questions from the chat and chit-chat about stuff and things.
Yeah.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah. So maybe some of you guys heard earlier, because me and Owen were also streaming Destiny earlier today. But this is kind of coinciding with Independence Day week.
Remember not to drink your drink. You got to review it.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm getting to it.
Right? Oh, good. Just making sure.
So it's been kind of a fun week here. It's like, because it is just a specific day, but like all good American things, we try to stretch it out a little bit, where it's like, oh no, it's the 4th of July weekend, and So it basically goes from the previous Friday all the way to July 4th, where people are like, no, it's still just celebrating Independence Day. It's like, oh, kind of ran out of sparklers.
Independence Week.
Yeah, they should change it to Independence Week.
Yeah, but then that stupid Roland Emmerich film would have never ended.
Oh God. But I actually like this time of year, and not because I'm super patriotic. I'm not. I'm really not. But I enjoy these summer holidays.
Super patriotic sounds like the world's worst DC attempt to cash in on Marvel's movies. I think that will be a good film. What am I talking about? Dear God, that went badly. Yeah, carry on. Go for it.
But I like these like summer months where it's like not months but holidays where like, kind of like the sole purpose of them is to be like, hey, we're gonna grill out and drink some beer and hang out and
barbecue season.
Yeah, it's great. It's so that's why I like it, because everyone's like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a grill out and everything like that. It's really fun. And like last night, I had a little fire at my place out in the backyard, and it was nice.
Did it stay little? How interesting is the story going to get?
Oh, I'm just kind of telling what I've been up to.
Okay, well, that's fine.
There was a brief moment where things almost went really badly for me, because I was tasked with lighting the fire, and I'm like, okay, no problem. And I decided I was going to try to knock out two birds with one stone, because I've had some cardboard accumulating that doesn't break down well, so it doesn't fit in the garbage bins very well. So I just kind of stash it in the closet, and every once in a while I just go out and burn it.
Right.
And but it's mostly cat litter boxes, which apparently is coated in some sort of film or something that makes it like nearly fireproof until it actually starts on fire, and then it burns forever.
Nice.
Like, and
I wonder if it's anything to do with the clay. So maybe it's like the residue of the clay. Maybe.
So I'm trying to light these things on fire, and they're not really going. So I'm like, I do the classic mode, like, well, I have a can of gasoline in the shed.
Oh yeah.
Let's give this a shot.
The classic eyebrow sinja.
Thankfully, yes, I still have my eyebrows, thank God. But it was close, because I'm putting the gas on the boxes. I'm like, okay, oh really now? And 1 second.
Hello, everybody. We are not Biscuits. We're Those Aren't Biscuits. It's a podcast. Or it used to be a podcast. Now it's a live talk show. John is answering his telephone. Because he is not very good at doing the podcast, you see. He's not a professional like me. In the meantime, how are you guys? Drop into the chat, say hello. This is a live
I'm back.
Talk show. Hello, welcome back, John.
I heard you. I am good at this show, damn it.
Blythe says, someone is persistent to get to John.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we've got a John Wick situation on our hands.
They're pulling me out of retirement. But anyway, so I doused the boxes in the gas, and I didn't think I put that much on, but literally, like, I sparked my lighter and immediately just fireball. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Like a mushroom cloud off in the distance. Like, John's barbecuing again.
That Cadotte boy, always starting fires.
That Cadotte boy. I'd like to imagine that's the catchphrase for your town. You're like Dennis the Menace.
Right. It's not like Leave It to Beaver. It's that Cadotte boy.
Oh, Mr. Wilson in the hospital with third-degree burns again. Mr.
Property
Wilson.
damages reached 6 digits this time. But
except Mr. Wilson's got PTSD. Hunched over. Like, no, not the Cadotte boy. Not the Cadotte. Get him away.
Hey, Mr. Wilson.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did that. It was nice though, cause I had the fire, brought out a chair, relaxed, drank some wine, listened to music. It's super nice, and if you guys haven't done it ever, give it a shot. Like, get yourself a little campfire. It sounds kind of dull, but it's more fun than you think it is.
Whenever you talk about like your relaxation, I always think you're definitely one of those like wheelchair on a porch Americans, right? Like,
oh, I will be. I absolutely will be.
Stick of grass in the mouth, shotgun under the paper. You know?
Oh, I want to go that far. There was one summer where me and my buddy, we both ended up being unemployed for the summer, but we had like money. We both had money like saved up, and it's like, hey, you know what? We kind of made an agreement. It's like, let's just have this summer unemployed. So let's just do it.
Go to the store for beers, and your friends there in an apron, like, what? No, I like wearing this for fun. These shells were all messy. I need money, John. Don't do this to me. The bank's coming for me, man.
We had a deal. We were going to be vagabonds. That was the dream, man. That was the dream. But we did. We were basically unemployed all summer, and all we did really was hang out in his garage, drinking beer all day, and literally just like commenting on the slow, unassuming street in front, like just
unassuming.
Like six people would pass by a day. And
you know what I like about that street? It doesn't make any assumptions.
It just takes it how it is, you know.
You can tell that a lot of our language developed at a time when people drank more. Like, you know what I like about this street? Unassuming. Don't give me no shit.
Right? It just, it took me at face value, you know. It's like, that's John. Yeah.
So our bonfire season is obviously like our light. What am I talking about? Our barbecue season is same time of year, obviously during the summer, but our bonfire season is actually in like winter, obviously. But you guys do like the bonfire and fireworks. That's usually 4th of July as well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We tend to have like a winter holiday for that. We have bonfire night where we burn the Guy Fawkes and stuff. But it's not something we've done in my family a lot. But my dad would occasionally have bonfires when he needed them. But he saw them like practical things, you know.
Right.
But a few years ago, he did invite me over to a bonfire. And it was like, oh, come on, we can roast marshmallows. We'll sit out. No, I've got to have a bonfire anyway, because I've got to get rid of some stuff. Like you know, making the most of a seasonal event. But it was like, yeah, come on, we never did that as a kid. You roast marshmallows, we'll do stuff. Be great. So he invites me over, and we get like a bag of marshmallows and the sticks, and the bonfire starts going. He's like, all right, this is what I need to burn. And it's half a tree from the front garden. Like, fresh, green, like, wood. Puts it on, and the blackest smoke you've ever seen comes off. It's like, all right, go on, stick in the marshmallows. It's like vaporized tar, like, coming out of the... Let's do this! Yeah. Come by up. It's like thick line in your lungs. He's like grabbing the marshal, like, put him in. Take one out, and it looks like fucking like venom has landed on Earth.
Well, it's really funny because like my landlord is kind of a stickler about burning cardboard,
right?
Because like if you've never burned cardboard, it does kind of flake, and it does do a lot of like sparks, sends a lot of like embers up in the air, like more so than just like normal paper. I don't know why, but that's just what it does. And so I try not to do it often. But after last summer, I kind of don't really care anymore because he tore down an old house that was on the property, and every day would just like burn most of like the shit that he ripped off of it. And so I would wake up in the morning and there would just be like this thick plume of smoke engulfing the entirety of the property, and just like 5 or 6 random like garbage fires just burning around the area. It looked like a scene out of Mad Max. Like
when civilization is no more.
I just like,
John
so
will burn his cardboard.
He just splashes water on me. Do not become addicted to the water.
I like the idea that the next Mad Max movie will just be about you burning some cardboard. But it'll be directed just like George Miller. It'll have the same sort of adverts. Like, it just comes up.
Just real subtle, like me just holding a cigarette. Bottle of water in one hand, taking like slow sips. It's like, all right, well that's done.
Burning up pretty nice. The warrior Max was all that was remained of civilization. There we go. Doopy-doo. Hey, Mr. Wilson. Go, my war boys! They just lift some cardboard off the pile, drop it in. Doopy-doo. That'd be a really disappointing film, John.
just cuts over. Castle on the hill. My first kiss is a Friday.
So I experienced something.
And it'd be original motion picture soundtrack provided by Ed Sheeran. It disturbed me.
Acoustic version by Jonathan Cadotte.
Yeah, the a cappella version.
And that's the only track, and it's like a 30-hour version with the occasional creak of a rocking chair.
Yeah,
and in the limited edition,
on a horse.
And in the limited edition Blu-ray, they give you a little bit of cardboard ash, you know. Just...
Yeah, the most exciting part of the movie is like a little bit like flies in my face, like, oh god. All right, okay.
Everyone's like, I'm so glad I saw this in 3D.
You don't get it, man. It was so like subliminal.
And it's called Mad Max Unassuming Road.
Unassuming street in front of the garage. Just
I'd see it. So I did something almost relevant, by the way, today. I'm sure we're going to cover this, but we get to our superhero movies pretty much as soon as they come out on this show, right? We've always had a good track record of that. We like our Marvel movies and our DC movies and things. A certain popular hero is returning to the big screen next week. Do you remember who it is? It is the fiendish Spidered Man. He is coming home.
Spidered Man.
I have been led to believe that he is coming home, like football in that song from the 90s when football was coming home.
What?
There was a song in the 90s. One of the cups was being held. I think it was UEFA Cup was being held in England, and they released a song for it that was
that football.
Football's coming home. It's coming. This is the song. It's coming. Football's coming home. It was all the fucking time. Sorry. Old wounds coming to the surface there.
It's like, sure, you don't have PTSD? Football's coming.
So Spider-Man Homecoming is coming out next week.
Yeah.
And in celebration of that, I played the free Spider-Man Homecoming VR experience.
How was that?
Fucking shit. I've been waiting all week to tell you about this incredible disappointment. So, right off the bat, I knew it wasn't going to be great, because this is one of those things, it isn't made by a game development team. It's one of those things like when they went through a phase of giving movies companion apps, or when DVDs first came out, and they were like, look, get this special feature where you can watch the movie with a special experience mode, you know? It's one of those things where a film studio is like, technology! We know how this works. It's the hot new thing, we'll get in on it. And I thought that I would try it out, and maybe it would be good. Maybe it would be a little bit different. It disappoints at just about every stage, and then it's really short too. So, so it probably took me less time. Right? Well, it probably took me less time to play than it did to download, so it wasn't even like a relief. Okay, right off the bat, this is on the PSVR. I believe it's also on PC VR people. You have to have the motion controllers. It will not work without the motion controllers, which, fair enough, most people with the PSVR have them, but it seems weird on your, like, free, very broad experience app to also require the optional controllers. It's not just me, that's kind of weird, right? Like, that's an odd choice to take. And right off the bat, it tries to be Arkham VR, so it kicks you in. It puts you on a rooftop. The resolution is really low, which... The VR has a fairly low resolution for a VR screen anyway, but some games can't even hit native res, so that they hit lower and you can tell. They tend to be pretty soft. It's a pretty soft-looking rooftop, but it's okay. It's not terrible. And then it it gives you this chest in front of you, and a voice like I think in the movie Spider-Man's going to have his own little Jarvis, basically, but like a female one. Because it guides him through this thing of, first you got to suit up and check it out. And it does what Arkham VR does, which it has you pick up the mask and put it on, right? And that puts the suit on. You don't get to do the whole dress up of putting your hands in the gloves and just put the mask on and then you're dressed, right?
Pull the wedgie out.
Right. And Arkham VR has this moment, and it's one of the best moments in VR, like hands down, where it goes through this whole thing of having you dress as Batman, and then it shows you a mirror, and you look in the mirror, and you're Batman, and it's one of those true standout moments in VR. I'm surprised more games haven't had you just look in a mirror, you know, and see the character you are, because it really is great. The game then does this, except it doesn't look to be the distance you are from the object, right? It's really tiny.
Like video?
No, it's really tiny. Spider-Man looks really, really thin and crap in it. And when you move the hands in Arkham VR, his arms are very constrained. So the hands go exactly where you put them, but it still makes Batman move right. Spider-Man's got noodly arms that you can put at wrist-breaking angles. So he immediately looks like Mr. Tickle, you know, like from the Mr. Man. So, what was, like, the standout, amazing moment of Arkham VR of, like, I am Batman, was like, oh, I'm some wrist-broken, mentally challenged Spider-Man who can't stand up straight and hasn't had a meal in about 3 weeks. At this point, I knew this was not going to be a great experience. The rest of the thing goes like this, right? The AI talks you through an incredibly lengthy tutorial of how to use 3 different kinds of web, and has you use it to shoot bottles. Yeah, there's 3 different kinds of web. There's your normal, like, spitting out a little bit of web, and then you use that to shoot some bottles, and that's fun. Like, you've got your motion controllers, you're shooting bottles. It's as fun as a motion control game where you shoot things always is, and it's in VR, so that's fine, right? You do that for a bit, you're learning to use one bit of web. Oh, when you get in there, it says there's a button to choose what type of web you want to use. But in the tutorial, it locks you to the one it's showing you how to do. And you do that. Then it shows you how to do to use grenades, and you clear some debris on the rooftop. All this time, you can't move. You're stood in one place doing this tutorial.
Teenager grenades?
Web grenades, basically.
Okay.
Which is funny, because they have, like, a timed detonation as well. I don't know how he made his web fluid do that. But... And then the last one's like
grenade.
the last one's like the traditional Spider-Man web. You whack it with things, you grab it, and you can pull like posters off walls. Goes through a really long tutorial of showing you how to do this, and then there's an explosion in the distance, and the vulture flies by. And then it says, okay, now, web up to that crane. You web up to the crane, which you do by hitting the crane with your web, and then it all goes dark around the edges of the screen so you don't get motion sickness, and it very quickly whooshes you up there. There's no web swing to it. And then you're stood on a crane. And I will say this for this game. VR games that put you at heights work. Because when the illusion's right, you feel... And there was a moment where I was like, oh god, I'm on a crane. The vulture flies into you and throws a bomb at the crane. And then it forces you to use only one type of web. It forces you to use your web to hold onto the crane and hold it. You have to hold it a really, really long time till the game decides you have saved the crane. And then it goes, well done, you saved the crane. And then it ends.
Great.
It is a lengthy tutorial section for a game that never happens.
So my one moment of heroism is basically saving a construction company from having to file a insurance claim.
Right.
Sweet.
So what's so weird about this is it's free, it's cheap, great, and yet it still feels
free.
but it feels cheaply made. You know what I mean? It feels It feels kind of crappy, but it also feels unfinished. Like when you start the game, there's a little tutorial that says, "Press this button to change which type of web you want to use." That doesn't come up in the game because when you're doing the tutorial, you're locked in. When you do the mission later on, quote unquote mission, you're locked in.
Cool.
There's no function in it for changing what web you're using. Like it doesn't come. So I feel like this was supposed to be like something longer, maybe like the Arkham VR thing, maybe even paid. But it's.
I bet you it's one of those things where they're making it, and the people making it had no idea like when that movie was supposed to come out.
Maybe.
So they're like, "Hey, by the way, you know, Spider-Man's coming out next week." What? No, we're done. We're done.
My other suspicion is everything they've said about VR suggested it's doing well, but maybe free experiences aren't shifting as many units as they thought they were going to. And they're selling enough that like the idea of making just a free bit of VR content isn't necessarily as cost effective. So maybe at the last minute they were like, you know what, just that'll do. It's free. Fuck them.
I like to imagine that like these companies that make these products, they know what they've made is shit. So it's like, okay, well, thank you for releasing this product for us. We will get a hold of you next week to talk about future projects that we'll work on together. And the company's like, nah, I don't think that's necessary.
Well, in chat, Og says, sounds like the new Ghostbusters VR game, excuse me, tech demo. And yeah, there was a Ghostbusters thing very similar to this recently, except that cost like $10.
Oh, good.
So at least this was free. But it's so bad. And it's weird because obviously VR's new tech, you know, appeals to some people, doesn't appeal to others. It's things like that are always kind of niche, you know, but it is pretty modern, pretty exciting. Lots of people want on board. This feels so old. And I don't mean like the technology. It really feels like you used to see it a lot in the 90s. Whenever new technology would come out, someone would be like, and here's and I guess you saw it with 3D TV a lot, but a lot of this, like, oh, and here's this free experience with these characters you know and love in this form no one will ever be able to see again when the technology has died and changed. Like, and you gotta wonder, like, why? Like, are the people who've bought a PSVR sitting there going, well, I hope someone comes along with a free 5-minute Spider-Man experience soon? Otherwise,
this is worthless.
Right, like, and they sat there going, you know what, I'm not going to play the Star Wars Battlefront X-Wing VR mission for the 99th time. I'm going to play 5 minutes of really poor Spider-Man VR. But I will never get over... Did it make
you excited to see the movie?
No, it did not. I'm excited to see the movie anyway, but, like, if I'd been borderline, that might have put me off. I'd be like, you know what, if this has any relation to the movie, I'm out. I'm done. But I will never forget how, like, like bad graphics in VR, like, they can be bad, but the 3D and the feeling of being there often makes up for them, you know? Mm-hmm. But when they're bad in such a way that they make the illusion feel wrong, the effect is kind of worse. And I will never forget the sadness that came to me when I realized I was pipe cleaner Spider-Man.
The big reveal.
Yeah, it was very disappointing.
You look like those wavy arm things in front of like car dealerships.
Someone's made a fighting game where you play as those things.
That's great.
Let's go.
That's kind of what like Arms looks like to me, you know?
Yeah. I played that. I do not find that fun. I played the global test punch. I'm really sad because everyone online finds it fun. And it's like everyone on the internet these days has been like, "Oh, you can't share your opinion about anything. Everyone's so offended right now." And normally I mean like feminism and stuff. I mean Nintendo. I just don't think that looks good. I played a little bit of it, and maybe the controls didn't gel with me, but it just felt very loose, you know? Because it's a motion control game, obviously.
Yeah. Well, you can play without it, too.
Can you?
Yeah.
I might enjoy that more.
With just a normal. You can just play as a normal controller.
I wonder if you do that, if you can be patched up with people using the other control scheme. If you can be matched up, or if they separate them.
Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be very different.
I think what's really funny about that game so far is people trying to convince you, like, I've seen a couple, videos of people playing it and, like, some streams and whatnot. And they're talking about, like, like, the meta game and, like, this character counters this one. And blah. It's like, no, shut up. Like, this isn't Street Fighter level complexity, you know?
No. Like, I'm sure there's... all games with variety have inherent complexity that comes out of it, but it's this thing where everyone thinks it needs to be good enough to be an esport these days to be a good game.
Right.
And I don't care.
Yeah. Like, please don't have another shoutcaster on your E3 press conference. I beg of you.
Do you remember when they announced the Switch and they showed, like, all those people going into an arena to play Splatoon? Like,
right.
That's not a very esportsy game, is it? Like, I don't think Splatoon has a particular, like... Splatoon doesn't even have those kind of modes where you could structure that, you know? Because for an esport, you need private matches and things, you know?
Right.
But,
that would be hilarious. Like, set up this big arena event, and it's like, alright, so we're going to sit here for a couple hours, hope that everyone can manage to pair with each other randomly.
Right. Well, we did it. And then there's also this guy who we didn't know who he was, but
it's like
he got into the last round unexpectedly, so we've got to make him a contender.
We have 5 of the 6 members of Cloud9 on one team, and then Sephiroth's 420 XXX.
That would be great. Oh no, now I want that to be a thing. I've changed my mind. I'm in favor of this. I want all esports to have to use random matchmaking to do it. Well, someone did, when I was streaming Destiny, someone did manage to get in on Crucible and kill me that was watching the stream.
Nice.
Recently. Which was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Gotta respect that.
Did he let you know?
No, he had the same username in chat as he had in the game, so...
Oh, okay.
Or it was a coincidence and he's a liar. He's a lying credit thief. You never know.
Damn you. How dare you steal the credit from the literally thousands of people who have killed me on this game.
Yeah. I'm actually okay at Destiny's Crucible. I'm getting better. Like, everyone's got thousands of kills in online, I suppose, but I'm getting better at it. I can safely say if I really want to sit and play and focus, I can not be bottom of the tables, which is good.
I usually
played a lot of Destiny lately. I'm really enjoying Destiny at the moment. I mean, I've been enjoying it for a little while, but I'm actually really enjoying getting into the late game, really, for the first time in my life.
Still excited for the raids.
Yeah, we are hopefully going to be doing that on the channel soon. Destiny 2 is looking pretty good as well. I'm not dwelling too much in the information, but I suppose I'm taking it on trust that a lot of the people who are fans of Destiny but with criticisms are very pleased with what they've seen, whereas a lot of the people who are kind of the more blind fans are a bit disappointed, and I'd rather listen to the first group than the second.
Right. I mean, because like the people who play Destiny, have played Destiny, kind of know, like, they have an idea of like the things that should be changed and what could be better.
Right.
And they have like they don't have the expectations, you know, like, but the people who haven't played Destiny are like, oh well, you know, if the game is, you know, has these epic moments and blah blah blah, it's like, come on.
I was actually thinking recently, I kind of appreciate Destiny 2. Everybody said the story will be better communicated, more cutscenes, things like that. It might just be me, but I just think Destiny 2 might, I mean, it's not going to do this, but I actually think the right course of action for it might have been to improve by going with less story rather than more. Because everybody had a problem with Destiny's story, and I get that, I get why, but if they just made it right off the bat like Destiny's late game is once you finish the story, I'd have enjoyed that too, you know? Because I'm really enjoying going through in a different way now. I'm really enjoying replaying missions and playlists. Like, can you imagine if Destiny 2 launched and right from the bat it was just different playlists at different levels? And they were like, there you go, do them, you know?
Right.
And the missions were all laid out like contracts. Mm-hmm. I could play that.
Yeah. But it's kind of clear that they do have some sort of mythology in mind that they want to tell.
Yeah, definitely. Right. But they could have still done that by going all Grimoire style rather than more heavily Halo-style storytelling, you know?
Right.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'd take it either way, but I think that could have been an interest. I think that direction ultimately would have worked just as well.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think one or the other, we're going to get something that's more satisfying than what we had.
I think so, too. And I like Destiny, so that's good.
I wanted to bring this up to you, because, I don't know, for some reason, when we talk about Destiny, I keep on thinking about that BioWare that's coming out, the BioWare game, the Anthem.
Yeah, people keep asking me about this.
I get the feeling that they're going to be very similar.
Oh, yeah?
I do. Like, just from the look of it, and kind of how they showed, like, how the mission was set up. Like, oh, you ran into this person in town, and they want you to go do this. Like, and then it's, you know, it's a third-person action game. So I think we're going to get, like, the third-person shooter version of Destiny. You know, where, like, Destiny was the first-person MMO. Anthem, I think, is going to be the third-person shooter MMO.
I wonder if there's room for it, because the Division didn't do great, did it? And the Division was probably the first.
The Division sold incredibly well. I just don't know if it had the lasting support.
Well, a lot of people aren't very happy with the Division at the moment, are they? Because the content they've announced for this year is apparently very sparse compared to last year. And they've just added microtransactions.
Good.
They've added a premium vendor, and they've added loot boxes and things like that. And people are pretty unhappy because apparently they promised in advance that there would be never completely.
Right.
And now they're kind of they just quietly put them in like, what? We didn't say that. And some have suspected that basically what must have happened is that the audience has dropped off. So there just isn't the budget for the new content in the same way. Which, having read about, like, I haven't played The Division. I know you have, but I haven't played The Division, so I can't comment.
I like it
in real depth. But it seems to me what they've done is copied Destiny, but not learned the ultimate lesson from Destiny, which is when you launch and it's a little bit wrong, but the idea is to build an online platform, you listen to criticism and you double down rather than backpedaling and then flailing and then changing and giving up. What Bungie have done that is actually really remarkable is they could have done the same thing. They could have been like, all right, and then gradually wound it down, no Destiny 2, and just been like, okay, we tried, we failed. That would have been very easy for them to do. And in actuality, what they did do is they treated it like it had worked better than it had, listened to people, responded with great content, and turned the game around. Yeah. It sounds like Division's made by... It's Ubisoft, actually, Division, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like what they've done is actually exactly the opposite. Which is not respond to the criticisms and follow them up by going back on what they've said they would do. And
well, but I think we have to look at the difference in the nature of these companies.
Yeah, definitely.
Bungie, like, they make a game at a time.
That's true.
They're very Blizzard-like. They Ubisoft, excuse me. They are very much a quantity game.
Oh
right?
Yeah, they are fire shit at the wall.
They put out as many games as they possibly can, and they always have a ton of games in the works. So, I guess for me, if I'm in Ubisoft's position and I see that the Division isn't performing great, I guess my thought was like, okay, well, we're going to basically roll back our support for the game, let it die out. We'll try to milk as much money out of it as we can, and then we just move on to the next game.
It's a real shame too.
Bungie,
because...
on the other hand, because they work, they make one game at a time. They kind of have to approach it a little bit differently. It's like, oh, okay, well, Destiny is getting kind of panned by the critics, and it's still sold pretty good, but we don't know if we're going to have our fan base there for DLC, so we need to basically throw all our resources into saving this from the fire.
Right.
Where Ubisoft can just let it burn.
I think that's true, but I think ultimately Bungie's approach is healthier,
Sure.
But it's a real shame because Ubisoft goes through phases of learning this lesson, and then they always fall back into old patterns. That's the real tragedy of Ubisoft, is they make some really strange, colossal mistakes, and go through periods of improvement. It's like, for example, Assassin's Creed. They over-milked that franchise because it had done really well. And it culminated in Unity, which was broken and filled with companion apps and stuff like that, and crap that people didn't want and didn't really fit in Assassin's Creed as a game. To the point where after Unity, Syndicate came out with absolutely nothing in, and Syndicate is clearly... Syndicate runs really nicely, it's really smoothly, it's a real testament to how well that Unity engine would have run if they'd left it alone. Because looking back, it turned out a lot of those glitches were caused by those companion apps and things.
Right.
And an extra year, an extra bit of time, Syndicate is a really nice-looking, really good-running, fun game. But they had to put it on hiatus, because after Unity, Syndicate did nothing. People weren't willing to invest again, and then they put it on hiatus. But when Origins comes back, now they've said they're not going to be annualizing again. But I don't think anybody really thinks that they're going to do anything other than really head right back to milking it. Even if they don't annualize it, it's going to end up right back on that same slope. It's a shame, because I love Assassin's Creed. But you're just always on that path with Ubisoft.
I was going to say hi. Hi, Ashton.
Hello, Ashton. I don't know why they're having such trouble getting a permanent lesson from it,
So we got Blaz in the chat says, similar as it happened with GTA 5? With a question mark? I'm not really sure what you mean by that. GTA 5 is kind of a weird situation because Rockstar is very much like Bungie is, where they make one game at a time, and they take very long to do it. Like I said, it's very much like the Blizzard approach to things.
I mean, if you think about it, before GTA 5, what was the last one? Was it Red Dead Redemption, the first one?
No, I want to say maybe.
Because Red Dead definitely came out after GTA 4. Mm-hmm. They used to be a little bit faster. They made like that, like in the GTA 3 days, they pumped out a lot more GTA games. We got 3, Vice City. We also got the San Andreas. We also got the Manhunt games. They all came in a pretty quick time period. But they've really, they have really focused in since about GTA 5.
Well, GTA 5 is kind of a testament. Like, that game is massive. Like,
yeah,
there's stuff in that game that people I think underestimate, like just how much is in that game.
It's worth mentioning as well. As someone who played it when I played that game in the week of release, and I played it on PS3, and I've seen a lot of people play that game on PS4, and I've heard how great a port that console version is, but it's worth mentioning. That game is as massive and as huge and amazing to look at and play on PS3 and 360 as it is on next-gen consoles. It is an unbelievable technical achievement on those consoles. I just think that's worth mentioning.
Yeah. Like that... GTA 5 is really kind of just... GTA 5 is, in my eyes, kind of a touchstone for what gaming can be. Now, I'm not a huge Grand Theft Auto fan by any means.
I totally agree with you. I
enjoy them.
I think the level of detail from the size of the world, the characterization, the scripting, the character design, all that stuff is amazing. There are things I very much don't like about it. Because I think in one respect, which is philosophy, like personality, intent, character, humanity, I think games can be a lot more than GTA 5.
Right.
But as a technical achievement, I think it's unbelievable. Still with me, John? Awed by the validity of my point.
Some of the chat. They're just talking about mods in the chat, and I didn't really... I haven't really messed with mods in Grand Theft Auto.
It's about the GTA 5 thing with mods. GTA 5 has a mod system, and they recently stopped it from working, but Take-Two Rockstar overrid Take-Two and said that they have to let him do it, basically.
Right. Did you, to go back to the Anthem a little bit, did you see what happened with PlayStation? What they did?
No.
So the PlayStation YouTube channel released gameplay footage of Anthem, and people were watching it and realized this looks very familiar. And then they started to slow down the video and watch it closer. They took the Xbox gameplay and then photoshopped their button prompts over the Xbox button prompts so badly that if you actually look closely, you can still see the AYXB behind the X squared
fantastic
triangle. And it's just like, are you kidding me, Sony? Like, really? Like, you know very well that was some like intern or something where they're like, hey, we need you to get this gameplay footage ready and we're going to release it. And they're like, oh shit, yeah, oh shit, I've lost a file. And hey, I have an idea.
Well, it was a little bit like, did I ever tell you the story of...
bootleg copy of Photoshop at my desk.
Did I ever tell you the story of David Cameron and the Poppy?
Yes. Yeah.
For people who didn't didn't see this.
Just a massive poppy.
In in Britain, we have a thing called the Poppy Appeal. It used to be called the Hague Appeal. It's our version of it is Memorial Day. It's a charity that that pays for veterans and things like that. And the thing they sell is a little paper poppy, and around Memorial Day, Memorial Weekend, you're supposed to everyone is supposed to buy a poppy and wear them, and there's a lot of peer pressure about it. And a couple of years ago, the Prime Minister his social media team released a picture of him wearing a poppy, because everyone's supposed to do it. And it turned out to be an old PR shot of him that was already in the public domain as well. Right. It was like 30 minutes before someone had found the same shot. And they'd Photoshop
it. A photo bucket, watermark.
they photoshopped a poppy on, but it was too big. It was bigger than a poppy ever is. I told you about my story last Poppy Appeal time, didn't I? When I was walking through town, and this lady asked me if I wanted to buy a poppy, and I looked over at her stand, and they were there in the Poppy Appeal uniforms, and behind them there was a man in a giant foam mascot poppy suit. So it was remember the beloved troops that died. She was handing out pamphlets about the veterans and the Poppy Appeal, and there was just this guy in a suit. Do 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 Poppy Appeal. It was hilarious.
So, yes. Way to respect this hallowed day.
Shall I tell you what Rockstar game was pretty good that didn't really do much? They did a game based on the movie The Warriors. Did you ever play that?
Yeah.
That was pretty good, I thought. I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking, it wasn't Grand Theft Auto. But when you consider that the movie The Warriors is about some topless teenagers who walk from one end of the city to another, I thought it was pretty good. You know?
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I'm not gonna lie, I actually really enjoyed that table tennis game that they made.
It was good. It was a good game.
Yeah.
They don't make bad games, Rockstar. Fortunately.
Everyone kind of has a weird love affair with it. I did not care for Bully.
I think it's overrated. I mean, the thing about Bully is you can see in Bully where where Grand Theft Auto's gonna go in terms of how conversations are gonna play out and how missions are gonna happen. And from that perspective, it's kind of interesting. What's interesting about Rockstar is you can always see how their later games in their earlier games. They do release games that are tech demos, but as fully developed games. There are sections in GTA 4 that are reminiscent of Manhunt,
Right.
And I seem to remember that part of that table tennis was because they were trying to do a practice on character rigging for something. I could be wrong.
They're doing models, and they just kind of made this quick game to see how motion worked, to make their characters look good, and they're like, why don't we just release this?
Yeah. And they also really enjoyed table tennis.
Yeah. Who doesn't really? I love a good game of ping pong.
I've never played it. I've never played ping pong.
Really? It's surprisingly more difficult than you'd think it'd be. Because the weird thing about table tennis is that ball is super light, right? But it bounces off of that paddle at such a velocity that the main difficulty in table tennis is just restraint.
Right.
Because it's so easy to rocket that fucking ball across the room.
Well, you said it's more difficult than you might think it is. The reason I've never played table tennis is until my mid-teens, I basically had no hand-eye coordination, genuinely. I was on the verge of having to go to the doctors about it, and have me checked out, because I couldn't catch. And I couldn't hit anything with a bat, and I just couldn't do it. And the only way I ever managed to do it is my dad took me into the back garden and trained me to catch. And that it improved my coordination a lot, but all the opportunities I had to play it were when I was young, and I knew for a fact I wouldn't hit that ball once. So telling me it's harder is not selling me on table tennis, John.
Well, have you ever played, like, real tennis?
Yeah, I couldn't hit it. But I haven't played anything like that since I was in my mid-teens, and my dad actually, like, drilled me on catching and throwing. I legitimately couldn't do it. I think I actually had some coordination issues that needed training out. I don't know why. Probably all that time playing on the computer.
Yeah, you had a device, or you had a disease known as being a nerd.
Yeah, that's what my doctor said as well.
Nerd. Get
back,
out of my
nerd.
He just balls up like a piece of paper, like, heads up, nerd.
Come out with wet hairs, like, what happened? Doctor flushed my head down the toilet. Yeah.
And then he gave me a wedgie.
Yeah. No, that was my life.
My underwear.
Yeah, I couldn't play table tennis for the life of me. I know for a fact I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd probably be able to give it a go now, but yeah, so, I was terrible.
So I'm going to just jump ship right here because I've had this bottle staring at me this whole time, and I'm really fucking thirsty.
Do it. Do it. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this.
Okay, so I don't know if they have this over in the UK at all, or in Europe, but over here, the PepsiCo Corporation has released a new product.
Yeah, we got Pepsi.
I think it's... Oh, thank you, Owen. Yeah, we know you have Pepsi. You fucking remind us every episode when you loudly open a can and start drinking.
Hey, streaming takes a lot of time and thirstiness. Okay, I don't want to dry out my vocal cords. My beautiful voice. My beautiful angelic voice that needs protecting from the likes of you. I don't want to start sounding like Gallagher. Yeah, the new slide dramatic. Yeah. No.
Wait. The real Gallagher or his cousin?
Right. I have, like, wouldn't it be great if each of the Gallaghers joined each half of UB40?
What?
UB40, yeah, you know the band UB40?
Sure.
Right. For years now, they've been having a dispute over which one is the real UB40. They split, and they both halves tour under the name of UB40. It was really funny, because if you remember Jeremy Corbyn, the leader of the Labour Party, who... No, seriously, this is relevant.
Okay.
He was famous because he became leader of the party, but it was tearing the party apart between the more left wing of his party and the right wing of his party, and the entire rumor was they were going to split. And then, just as his leadership contest, because they held they had a vote of no confidence in him, and he won it. But just as it was coming to a head, one half of UB40 endorsed him, and the other didn't. Like, you could not make that up. It was so perfect. I thought that was great. But yeah, UB40. So, I want each Gallagher to join a UB40, please. We're not talking about your thing now. Gallagher, I know you're listening. You've got nothing better to do. Seriously. Get your brother together. Join UB40. Do it. Thank you, Gallagher.
Yeah, keep doing the same crappy covers that you've always been doing.
He's great, though. Have you ever listened to him in interviews?
Gallagher or UB40?
Gallagher. Seriously, have you listened to Gallagher in interviews?
No.
Find recent interviews with him. All he does is talk about how much better he is than all the comedians that are doing much better than him, how Jay Leno doesn't have an act, how he should have had a talk show, how Robin Williams was a terrible comedian. All he does, literally all he does, in every interview is talk about how he had a much better act than all those people, and how much smarter than them he is, and how much of a better comedian he is.
How intricate could your bit have been if your fucking cousin can do it?
Right, but he always gets onto this rant about how these big comedians like Dave Chappelle and Jay Leno and all these people can't go to a pub out in the middle of nowhere and entertain ordinary people like he can with his fucking smashing melons. Gallagher. You make me sick, Gallagher. Get out of here.
Are you good? You got that off your chest?
I don't want you listening to the show anymore, Gallagher. Don't make me come over there.
Still staring at this bottle, Owen. Really thirsty.
See, I knew. When you were going to drink, I knew if I said that, you'd end up waiting a long time to drink it. Continue.
Yeah. So, what I have in front of me is a bottle of Pepsi Fire, which is apparently cinnamon-flavored cola. And with natural and artificial cinnamon flavor.
Okay. I do want to know what an artificial cinnamon flavor is, but I'll let you drink it first.
I'm just going to say right now, just looking at it, that this is it's a much lighter color than normal Pepsi, because I can kind of see through it.
I should mention, I told John to review this, to drink it on the show, for the first impressions and review it. So, however boring and terrible this bit is, it's partially my fault.
Wow, fuck you, man. You know how many crappy Nintendo pitches I had to sit through? Fuck you, man.
Just drink your Coke.
It's Pepsi. Pepsi Fire. Alright. Here we go.
Pepsi Fire. John's trying Pepsi Fire. Oh, I can hear that. That definitely sounds like Pepsi.
Ooh. Ugh. It smells kind of. Alright. Here we go.
John's drinking the Pepsi. I can hear it. Definitely sounds like a esophagus pushing fluid down an opening. Yep. Fluid, alright.
It's, tastes like Pepsi, man. There's not much cinnamon to it. There's a slight hint of cinnamon in the back. But pretty much just tastes like fucking Pepsi.
I'm so glad we did this. Does it taste like a Starbucks seasonal latte?
No. Oh, okay. I'm trying to get more of the cinnamon. Oh, that's not bad, actually.
So here's an important thing. I need to know.
Do you have Big Red gum over there?
No.
Or any sort of cinnamon gum?
No.
Really?
Yeah, cinnamon is not a gum flavor here. We get mint, double mint, tutti frutti.
We get mint, double mint, extra mint, mint to the third power, mint cubed, which is mint to the third power.
We also have a company called Airwaves. You got Airwaves over there?
No.
And they make a gum that's like supposed to clear your nose when you have a cold. So they do like a eucalyptus gum that's very fresh. Wintergreen. Ugh. We used to have Bubbaloo. Did you guys have Bubbaloo?
No.
Bubbaloo
is that like Bubblicious?
No, we have something like, I think, Bubblicious, which was called Hubba Bubba, but Bubbaloo was the grossest stuff. Is Bubblicious like Hubba Bubba?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had Bubbaloo was the grossest stuff. It was gum, but with like liquid inside.
Oh yeah, we've had that before.
Ugh. It's vomit inducing.
Did you ever had that like the candy thing where it was just like tubes of like gel, like sugar gel?
Oh, just gunk that you would just pour into your mouth. It wouldn't even taste nice.
Yeah.
You just vomit on it. Did you guys have push pops?
Yeah.
Do you remember those spring-loaded push pops that would knock your teeth out?
Yeah. I remember the worst one I ever saw with those like tubes of sugar goo was, it was on all accounts like the worst marketing I've ever seen in my life. It was candy toothpaste.
Oh, yeah.
And it would actually come with like a little brush. And so you're supposed to pour this pure sugar gel onto this brush and just work it into your teeth.
I remember that one. As I remember, it wasn't on the market very long. Do you remember?
Like, I
did
can
you guys
imagine a dentist waking up in the morning, going to get a coffee, stopping off, you know, and you see he's like, "What the fuck?" Like,
you son of a bitch! Like, have you been brushing your teeth,
to
Jimmy?
The guy behind a car,
like, yeah,
slaps him.
I brush my teeth every day with this.
just blood running from the kid's mouth.
Blythe says, "Fisherman's friend. Fisherman friends are gross." Do you guys remember? Do you remember Flip Pops? Which had the theme tune, "Flip Pop, Flip Pop, Flip Pop, Flip Pop." It was made by the same people who made Push Pops.
Are those ones that are like that chalky candy on a stick?
It was made by the people who made Push Pops, and it was like it was a lollipop in like a plastic like triangle, and the idea was that you would flip the package over, and then a spring-loaded lollipop would flip out, and the thing would close.
Oh.
And you're like, why are there so many stupid ways to package a lollipop? Who's going to be like, oh, I want a lollipop. Which one shall I have? This one that's in a flavor that I like? Or what? This one that's in a spring-loaded projectile from a tiny purse? Like,
and what's really dangerous is that you can actually like take those push buttons, and if you like suck on the right way, you can like bring them down to a point.
Right.
And so you basically just have a candy switchblade on you at that point. Just
right. We used to have Whistle Pops
running
as well.
into the other toughs in the alleyway, just
right.
flipping out your lollipop.
We used to have Melody Pops as well, which were little lollipop slide whistles.
Oh yeah,
I love those.
And you could pull out on the stick and it would change the tone.
Yeah. Oh, did you guys have the singing lollipops? The hit. Oh god, I wish I could remember what these things were called. These were the fucking stupidest things. Okay, so imagine a lollipop, right? On a holder the size of an electric toothbrush.
Oh yeah.
And you would suck on the lollipop, and it would play music that would resonate through the lollipop into your ears.
We actually had
you get like one song
that did that.
Ugh. Why would you want?
I tried that once with the toothbrush with the music in it. And I can't remember. I think it was like a Spice Girls song or whatever. And I'm just like, oh okay. And all I get like resonating through my mouth is just "Stop right there, thank you." I'm like, ah, like it's in my head.
If I had my way,
okay.
If I had my way, every toothbrush would sing Chumbawamba Tub Thumping. Every time you brush your teeth, that would be the song of toothbrushing. If I was a dictator, I would supply everyone in Britain a toothbrush that sang Tub Thumping every time.
Everyone would just be flipping tables over in their bathroom and shit, like, ah!
But I wouldn't tell anybody before they got the lollipop, you know? It would be a secret government initiative.
Oh, yeah, okay, so Order Chaos says, oh, there used to be candy cigarette candy, too. Yeah, I remember those, and bubblegum cigars, and... Did you
guys get the really...
You can still get them. You can still get them, but they don't call them candy cigarettes anymore. They're still clearly candy cigarettes because they're still packaged in, like, fake cigarette boxes.
The little sticks. I mean, there was, like, Spider-Man on them.
Yeah.
But they were just, like, little sticks. But did you guys ever see the really, really realistic ones? They were actual sugar paper with little shredded chocolate in?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, who is this aimed at?
It's like, for one thing... If you really want kids like to start smoking or whatever, don't teach them to eat the cigarette. Like,
right.
Like, that's not how you do it.
To be fair, that might work. Maybe it's a secret anti-smoking initiative.
I don't get it. This tastes terrible.
Blash says, did you guys have lucky bag? Well, surprise bags, like a small A4 size bag that had comics and candies? Yes, we did. And they were awesome lucky bags. Well, so here's the thing. Lucky bags are one of those things where they were one of those items that made you realize that your parents didn't know the meaning of joy and happiness. Because, like, parents never wanted to buy them. And the reason parents never wanted to buy them is because, like, for the amount of money they cost, the stuff inside was shit. And I get that. I totally get that. But, oh my god, I wanted them every time I saw them. Like, give them to me! I want it!
So, I got a quick question, though, for Org Chaos here. You said earlier, like, next, John tries Mountain Dew SA. I don't know what SA is.
South Africa.
Yeah, Mountain Dew South Africa. The real taste of apartheid.
Mountain Dew. Prawns? I said prawns because they said it in that film once. That's all I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The real Mountain Dew of apartheid, did you say? Sorry, it took me a second for that to sink in. The Mountain Dew of apartheid. That was 30 years ago, John.
The wounds are still there.
The wounds. And you know all about that when you...
Do you remember when we went on the Mountain Dew website and read the story behind...
what was it, Mountain Dew Raw? Mountain Dew something?
Dew Shine?
Dew Shine, yeah. Sadly, I do.
Oh my god, that was the most intense thing I ever read in my life.
Okay, it says Mountain Dew SA, like USA, a special flavor for this 4th. I have no idea where you can buy it. What's funny is I'm sure it's a real thing, but when he says it like that, it sounds like he made it up.
No, I know what he's talking about.
Is it a special 4th of July Mountain Dew?
Yeah, I think there are like 3 of them.
Oh,
like a
Mountain
red flavor,
Dew
a white
SA,
flavor.
I get it. Mountain Dew, I get the gag. Sorry, it called, yeah. It's terrible.
Way to go, man.
It's just terrible. Oh, I'm sad now.
Dew's kind of terrible.
Blatch says, why is Mountain Dew kind of tasteless? What is wrong with your tongue, sir? Mountain Dew, I think Mountain Dew is not tasteless. I think it's like, you know how when you can't get a picture on the TV and it used to all be like white static and you think that's like the TV receiving nothing, but actually that's the TV like receiving all the noise in the universe in no specific order? That's Mountain Dew, basically. Mountain Dew is what happens when you basically attach electrodes to the sweet receptors on your tongue and just fire them up there.
Yeah, Mountain Dew is a little much.
I hate it.
It's that soda that everyone loved as like a teenager and as a kid, but as your tastes kind of like reform and they get better, it's just like you try Mountain Dew now, it's just like oh.
Yeah, I really love to go to the factory though and watch them squeezing and diluting bees.
And it's like a bee sting in your mouth. What?
Yeah. Pretty terrible.
So,
see, we didn't have Mountain Dew here for a long time. And then when we finally got it, it was like the energy drink version, you know?
Yeah.
Mountain Dew, and I was like, first time I tasted it, I was like, oh, okay, I guess because it's an energy drink, it's all sugary and stuff, you know, and like tastes a bit different, tastes a bit more artificial and hideous, you know, I can get that, but it's high caffeine, I'll drink it, you know. And then after a while, like the normal version came out, and it tastes exactly the same. And I was like, wait, it's supposed to taste like this? It genuinely just tastes to me like someone took a big glass of Sprite and dropped a bag of sugar in it.
Like, so, do you guys have like the whole energy drink craze over there?
Define craze.
Like Monster energy drinks and Red Bulls and...
Yeah, it started with Red Bull, which used to have a really weird advertising campaign. Like, for the longest time, when I was a kid, because they started advertising when I was a kid, I honestly thought it was alcohol, you know?
Right.
Because the advertising campaign was like the Red Bull gives you wings thing. I don't know if you guys had it. And it would just be like animated characters and...
Yeah.
They would be in funny situations and he would give them a Red Bull.
Yeah, there were always like these compromised situations that somehow Red Bull got him out of.
Right, and they would fly away and say, Red Bull gives you wings! In a cute little... See, I always imagined it in a very British accent, but I guess they were American in yours, right? Right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and those were very alcohol adverts. But of course, in retrospect, you're not actually allowed to advertise alcohol like that in this country.
Right.
You're not allowed to advertise alcohol in a way that suggests it will improve your capacities in any way, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, like the most you can get away with, like over here for advertising like alcohol, is like, "Hey, drink this and you'll have a great time tonight. All your friends will show up. That pretty girl that you've always wanted to talk to, she's there. She's gonna love you." You know, that sort of thing. But it's never like here. Drink this alcohol, and you're going to win at sports.
Right.
You can't do that.
The laws here used to be really strange. Like, advertising agencies weren't allowed to show two men drinking alone together in the 80s, because that might be seen as, like, gay. apparently. Like, that would be seen as advocation of being gay. You weren't allowed to do that in the 80s.
Because it's, like, gay.
But, yeah, so I thought it was alcohol for the longest time, but it didn't really, like, I remember getting to a certain age and then drinking Red Bull and being into it, but it didn't really become like a crazy until other companies started making cheap ones. Mm-hmm. And originally they were all knockoffs of Red Bull, basically.
Right.
And they just tasted the same, but they were dirt cheap. So you would buy it, it would be like 2 milligrams caffeine less, but you get it in a liter bottle and just down it all and fly home, I assume.
So I can't really do the energy drink thing. My body does not appreciate.
No, I agree. I think they should change the advert to Red Bull gives you wings to the cardiac ward.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened the first time I ever drank a Monster energy drink, right? Because there's a brand over here called Monster.
Yeah, we got that too. And the green one, don't you think it just tastes like, what do you call them, that? Pixie sticks? It just tastes like sherbet in a can.
Well, they had for a little bit these, like, Monster energy drinks that had, like, double the caffeine. They're like Monster Max or some shit like that.
Right.
And
do not drink if pregnant.
Make all birth defects. Do not operate heavy machinery. But
you gotta wonder when they're advertising their drinks the same as their rides.
So it was like the first energy drink I ever really drank, because I've drank coffee since I was like in high school. But coffee has like a different, I don't know, like the energy and the caffeine you get from coffee kind of hits you differently.
Well, it tends to be a little bit less, but not only that, right? You wouldn't have a cup of coffee the size of a can of Monster Energy.
Well,
nor would you drink it as fast. Do you know what I mean?
Right. So I drink this thing, and I don't get it at first. I down it, I'm like, oh, that didn't even taste that good. Whatever, I don't feel anything. Like 15 minutes later, I'm in like cold sweats. My heart's racing. I can't, like, my hands won't stop shaking. I'm literally scared that I'm having a heart episode. I'm just like, it's just like, oh, it was the most miserable feeling I've ever felt.
And in a puff of smoke,
I never want to do this again.
In a puff of smoke, the mustachioed Monster Energy salesman appears. Yeah. You said you wanted to feel invigorated like never before, so I gave you a panic attack.
Right, I'm sitting there I'm sitting there like looking at people. They're going in slow motion, but everything behind them is going in fast motion.
It's like so that. Have you seen that Futurama where he tries to hit 300 cups of coffee?
Time stops when he hits 300.
Right.
But yeah, that's what it kind of felt like when I was drinking it. Like the world had parallax motion, or parallax like scrolling.
Parallax scrolling.
It's like like I'm standing still, but everything around me keeps spinning. Like,
yeah. When I first started doing YouTube, I went through a phase where I decided I was going to, because most of my audience was in America at that time, and I was still pretty new, I decided that I was going to basically run the channel as if I was going to work nights. Because I figured that, I wouldn't be too hard. I would work it like I was working nights. I'd sleep most of the day, and I do Minecraft, and I go back to bed, and then I'd sleep most of the day, and I'd do streams in the evening. And I started deliberately drinking energy drinks for that, and I was getting the big Red Bulls,
Right.
And I would get up again at about 9, and I'd drink one of those, and I was drinking one every day. And then that was fine for about 4 days. And I woke up and I felt sick, so just genuinely sick. And you know how sometimes you feel sick and you're not quite sure what's made you sick?
Mm-hmm.
Well, on this day, on the 4th day, I opened a can of Red Bull. And as it approached,
on the 4th day you created man.
As it approached my nose, and I got a smell of it, my stomach, it might as well have just stepped out of my body and said, "No, sir. Stop!
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's clearly this.
Right. So
you dumb bastard.
So I thought it was adjusted to sleep, but it was this energy was just making me so bad. And I was like, right, no, okay, I can't have it. And I was making myself so tired trying to shift. This is such a bad idea that I went back to bed. I didn't do anything that day. And I went to sleep. And about an hour after I went to sleep, I was like, right, I'm going to have to go for a pee. And I went for a pee. And I drank some water. And I must have, like, kicked all the caffeine out of my system that day. Because I got a hangover. I got the worst hangover I've ever had in my life. And as the caffeine drained from my body, I promise you, I was frightened. I was paralyzed because I was just, I couldn't move, and I was so tired. And I realized, like, I barely slept, and I just kept myself fueled on this, and my heart had been going a mile a minute, and I hadn't noticed. I've been so wired that I kept going, I can't feel my heart beating. Oh my god, it stopped, I'm gonna die. And then remembering that you're not actually supposed to just be able to feel your heart beating, like, without taking your pulse. You're not supposed to hear it ringing in your head all day long.
It's like, hey, I wonder how my heart's doing. Okay, good. It's a subwoofer now.
And I started being a lot more careful with energy drinks. I still have them occasionally. I can do them, but that was when I realized they were not good.
My worst experience with energy drinks is also what made me realize that I could never do Coke. Did you guys ever have like Four Locos over there?
No.
Four Locos was kind of... There's a couple others. There's like Sparks and there's something else. But for a brief moment in time, there was this trend where they're going to mix energy drinks and alcohol in one can. Right?
Oh, God.
And they were
people die like that.
Yes. That's why they got banned. Like, they can't have energy in them anymore. They can't have, like, caffeine. Right. They can just be, like, malt liquor. Because a bunch of fucking college kids died. And I know why. Because one night, we're all partying, and a buddy of ours shows up, and he has a crate of these fucking things. Don't know where he got them from. I'm assuming probably something illegal. But he has a crate of these, and I don't really know what they are. But I'm in that mode where, like, I just want to drink.
Right.
So I'll drink anything.
As you do.
And so I'm drinking these down, and I can feel myself getting drunk. And I know I'm drunk. And I'm at that point of drunk where I'm like, I just want to lay down and sleep. Like, that's kind of how I do it with alcohol. Like, I drink until I'm drunk, and then I drink a little bit more until I want to go to bed. You know, perfectly healthy, I'm sure.
Makes sense.
But I know I'm at that point where it's like, I want to lay down, but everything is still buzzing around me. Like, I can't close my eyes. I have to keep moving. I'm stumbling over my words. I'm slurring, but I'm trying to, like, talk fast at the same time. And my heart's racing. I'm sweating again. I'm drunk, so I already have poor hand-eye coordination, but, like, I can't even, like, use my hands anymore because they're shaking, and, like, I can't grip anything. And I thought I was going to die. I literally thought I was going to die because I did try to lay down, and I had the spins, but it wasn't like your normal spins. It was like, oh, the room's going to spin and then flip upside down and reverse itself, and now you're in a new dimension. And, like, I'm like,
right. Because they say
God.
That's supposed to be the same as, like, speed, right? It combines a stimulant with a sedative.
Right.
Which is, like, the worst thing you can do. Is that speed, or is that crack?
No, you're thinking of, like, 8 balls.
Right, something like that.
Or no, what are they called? Oh, I know what you're talking about, where it's speed and, like, heroin mixed together.
Right.
But
and it's, like, lethal.
Yeah.
We got a few messages in the chat. Blige says, you would have coffee, that much coffee. There is a small Portuguese girl in the office. Her cup is 750 millimeters, and she drinks full of it with coffee. Fair enough.
That's awesome. Does she have a number?
Go for the Portuguese! Okay, says, I don't like black coffee. It needs sugar or creamer flavors. I agree. Okay, says, caffeine withdrawal. I think that was about my headache. Okay, also says, a friend had me try Four Loko. Blige says, Jaeger bombs! Jaeger bombs. Beloved the world over.
Ugh. Can't. Ugh. And I like Jaeger. I can drink Jaeger straight. That doesn't bother me. But as soon as you start, like, put, like, Red Bull around it, I smell the Red Bull, and it makes me sick immediately.
I feel obliged to bring this up. While we were discussing this, I actually looked up Four Loko just to see if it was something we did have over here, you know, just making sure. And I found this article. Four Loko is back, but this time in China, where it is called Lose Virginity Liquor. The notorious party drink, Four Loko, is making a comeback in China. While the drink's popularity in the US waned after a series of hospitalizations and other incidents, it is now being offered on China's giant online shopping portals, Alibaba and JD.com, where it is sometimes being advertised as Blackout in a Can. Four Loko's new Chinese users refer to it online as Shi Shanju, or Lose Virginity Liquor. Already some imbibers are running into trouble. 4 20-something Chinese girls in Nanjing, an eastern city near Shanghai, wanted to try the drink. Local police reported, link in Chinese registration required, all 3 of them consumed 6 cans. They sneaked into a karaoke bar, passed out, and were robbed, police said.
Oh, no.
First manufactured in the US about a decade ago, Four Loko is made by Fusion Projects of Chicago. The US Food and Drug Administration warned the company in November 2010 that the beverage's mixture of alcohol with caffeine could be hazardous to users, and the company changed its formulation to eliminate stimulants. The 4 in the name stands for caffeine, alcohol, the Brazilian stimulant guarana, and animal-derived stimulant taurine, which is also used in energy drinks like Red Bull. The alcohol is malt liquor. Lovely. At least 5 states, blah, 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 blah. I'm just giving, we already know about this bit. Fusion agreed to ban and the manufacture of sale. Now Four Loko is available, blah, 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 blah. It looks like it's the caffeine one. Try to find more out about China. But yeah, alright, there we go. That was all the stuff about China, but apparently it's still hitting the shelves in China, causing a hit.
Yeah.
With the Lose Virginity liquor.
Oh. I want to know the guy who buys that, and like he drinks it down and goes, "Oh well, I'm supposed to lose my virginity to this," and just fucks the can, you know? Like this is how it works, right? Goes to work next day, lost my virginity. Yeah. Yep. Fuck the can.
Drops.
Awesome.
Drops his trousers, just covered in cuts. Yeah, baby. Yeah, it's that. It's those virginity wounds. What? His friend's like, oh, you're so lucky. He drops his trousers and the can's still attached there. He's like, I can't get mine off. I didn't go to the doctor. It's like festering.
like I didn't get the wide mouth can.
Like, it's alright, because pretty soon the can's like gonna be full again, and we can try this again.
Ugh. It's like that. It's like, so guys, lost my virginity last night. Oh, nice, man. Cool. Yeah, but how do you guys handle all the cuts and scrapes? Wait, what? Did you fuck a cactus?
That's not what I was thinking. I'd be like, wait, sorry, was this consensual? Like,
it's like, I'm just gonna go talk to Cindy in HR. Why? No reason. No reason. Just kind of. I heard she has a 750 milliliter cup of coffee. I'm kind of interested. 750 milliliters. That's a bottle of wine.
The sad thing is, right? The sad thing is, though, this is one of those things you'd never live down, though, right? 3 years later, you'd still be can fucker around the office, you know?
Right. What's up, can fucker? My name's Xavier. Okay. Whatever, can fucker.
Don't fuck any cans on your way to the water cooler.
Shut up.
Like, hey, Xavier, look over there. It's pretty hot, right? What? Next to the vending machine? No. Inside the vending machine. Shut up! You're not funny.
Walks by like one of those sample tables with the new soda, and the guy dressed up as a giant can. Easy, Steve. Easy, Xavier. Like,
he likes you.
Hey, my friend over here. He really fancies you. What? Like what? Is he gay? No, it's the can. It's the can thing. Fucks cans. No, I don't. Yes, you did. Once.
Hey, how would you go about losing your virginity?
I'd ask.
Okay, says the recycling has issued a restraining order against you.
Hey, you get out of here. Just a giant pile of crushed cans. Jesus, man.
I'm just picturing, like the documentaries you see as a kid, how this works. They show like the cans being rolled into the recycling plants. Just picture them at the window. No, Julie.
He's watching that at home. His roommate comes in. Oh, Jesus, man! What? Oh, I didn't know you were coming home so soon. Fuck.
Ugh. That's what I get for living with can fucker.
Nobody pays his rent on time, so he always handles the recycling.
Wait. Sorry. When you said you were handling it, you did mean you were throwing it away, right? Yeah.
Oh, I was definitely making it trash.
Oh yeah, you're trash, aren't you? You're garbage. You're garbage. Tell me you're garbage.
Step on my cubes and call me scum.
She looks high class, but she's 60% aluminum.
She knows where she came from. What show was I watching where I heard that? Some British show, but he's like, she knows where she came from. All the Brighton girls are sluts. I was like, what? I don't know what that means, but
well, Brighton is a place. Does that help?
Yeah, I figured that, but I'm like, what's so bad about Brighton?
No, it's lovely.
Huh?
It's lovely.
Oh. But speaking of shows I do remember, I did watch something this week.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We doing the recycling at the same time?
Going to talk about pop culture this week.
I believe you.
So I watched a little show that apparently just got canceled.
Right, it would have been fine had you not started watching it. Everything would have been good.
Yeah, they announced it like 2 hours ago after I got done watching the first episode. Shit, we're canceling it.
It's all down to you.
Mm-hmm.
I hope its fans can find you one day and make you suffer.
So I watched the first episode of Sense8.
Oh yeah? Oh, you're only on the first episode. Maybe I should. Maybe I should catch up and watch it along with you. We could talk about it week by week, like we were Siskel's and Eberts.
Well, here I'm gonna tell you this though. I don't know if I'm gonna keep watching it.
Aw, I thought we were gonna be Siskel and Ebert. Come on.
No.
Oh, come on. We could both be dead.
Can I be one who loses his jaw, like, before he dies? Like, because that sounds awesome.
That's mildly offensive.
Care.
Poor Roger Ebert. He was nice.
He was all right.
He was all right. He was a prince among men.
Okay. Where did the nice film critic touch you, Owen? No, it's so Sense8 is a show by the Wachowskis.
Oh, no, I'm out.
That has a really cool premise, right?
Yeah, of course it does. You said it was by the Wachowskis, but there's a but coming, right? Do you know how I know there's a but coming? Because it's by the Wachowskis.
So here's the idea.
We've all been let down by the Wachowskis, but...
So the idea behind the show is there's this group of people from all over the world, all walking different, lives and stuff like that. And somehow they're all connected mentally. Like,
are they living in a computer?
No. Not that I've seen so far. But here's the thing, they never come out and say that. Like, oh yeah, they're all connected, telepathically, whatever. But they go through great length to demonstrate this over and over and over and over again through that first episode. Like, every fucking scene, it's like, huh? And they'll, like, see something, like, in the distance that is in one of the other people's, like, actual life. Like, at one point, this guy, like, has a chicken, and then it cuts over to this woman at her desk, and a chicken flies across her desk, and she's like, ah! And they do this over and over and over.
Whenever I see a TV show like that, when something happens, I always imagine someone in the writing room being like, oh yeah, we gotta nail the chicken scene. They're gonna remember the chicken scene.
Yeah, do it for the chicken. Xavier, put that can down.
That's not what I meant by nail the chicken scene.
That's not what I meant either, but there's also some other stuff that's going on in the show that's, at least I might give a few more episodes a try.
Why set yourself up for disappointment, John?
So there's a character in it who is transgender.
Right.
And with red hair, glasses, white, it looks like the Wachowski. I can't remember which one.
Well, they're both trans now.
Oh, that's right. They are.
Well, I say now.
But it definitely looks like
they've both come out as trans now. It definitely looks like
the first. Yeah, it definitely looks like the first one who went through the process.
I think that was Mia. Is it Mia or Maya?
Yeah. I don't remember. And they spend considerably more time with her than all the other characters.
Wouldn't it be great if it turned out that all the other stuff in the show had actually happened to her as well? And it was, like, totally autobiographical.
Right.
Like, literally,
the Wachowskis are connected to
literally
8 other people.
Literally everything had happened exactly as it had planned out. See, I am not a big fan of the Wachowskis. I liked the first Matrix film enough. Everybody does. I am generally of the opinion that pretty much everything they've done since has been quite crap. I think they have very good concepts. I think what it is with the Matrix is, and it's often this thing when you see people who become too successful, it's when you see the overnight successes, and I know they worked very hard. There's no such thing as a true overnight success, but the problem is they were trying to get the Matrix off the ground for a while, so they had time to work it. Whereas the Matrix was so successful that they've been allowed to do everything they've ever wanted to since. So there's never been a period of having to work it, I think. Like, legitimately, the best thing they've done that isn't the Matrix is the adaptation of Speed Racer. And that's shameful.
This is the one reason why I kind of want to maybe give it a shot.
Okay.
because I kind of want to see what they can do with their concept, given the amount of time that a television show offers. But man, that first episode, and the funny thing is, like, a lot of it isn't necessarily bad, but it just doesn't really go anywhere.
Is it the typical not going anywhere of a first episode, or is it bad even by that?
It's that sort of episode where they try to, like, introduce all the characters,
right,
and give you a little bit of, like, their backstory and their history and stuff like that. But they really don't. That's the thing. You get, like, two or three characters who get some time where they kind of flesh out their lives and things like that. And then you get this one character, Nomi, who's trans, who she gets a lot of time in the show, and okay, let me be absolutely upfront about this. Like, I am not upset because a trans character got more airtime than everyone else. That's not why that upsets me. What upsets about me is that I feel like that character might be a Mary Sue,
right,
character. Because like the first introduction you get to her is her having, like, the most amazing sex you've ever seen. Like, her girlfriend is smoking hot, and is just banging the living hell out of her with a strap on, and, like, it's as close to porn as you're gonna get on Netflix. And then everything else, like, there's this whole moment in the show where she's also, like, an awesome blogger who is also a hacktivist who does this big, like, speech on her blog with a webcam about how brave she is because she came out and she's living the life that she wants to, and she's just fucking awesome, right? And they spend so much time with that, and not saying any of it's wrong, just saying it's like, you have, like, 10 other fucking characters that we need to get through. Like,
right,
like, can we get to that? Like, please stop telling me how fucking awesome that this one woman is. Like, I don't need it. So, I mean, they hint at, like, there being, like, this larger conspiracy going on because, like, the show actually kicks off with Daryl Hannah, like, clearly hiding from someone.
I like Daryl Hannah.
This is the thing that kind of interests me, and why I might keep coming back, is that there is hints at this bigger plot going on. Because it starts out with this Daryl Hannah character who is communicating with this one guy who's like, you know, you can do this, like, I'm with you, I love you. And then this other guy comes into her head, and he's basically being a giant asshole. And then he makes this comment, he goes, "Oh, I see, you're giving birth." And so they kind of insinuate, like, that this woman was the first one who could do this, and then she, like, split herself off into all these other characters.
That's interesting.
And then shoots herself.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It sounds like it has some interesting things to it.
Yeah, there is some interesting stuff going on, but so far in, like, this first episode, all you're really kind of getting is, a day in the life of these characters, except we're going to have 2 minutes devoted to the guy who lives in Nairobi and drives the Jean-Claude Van Damme bus. We're going to give, like, 1.5 minutes to the successful businesswoman in China, and, you know, and then we're going to give, like, let's say 10 minutes to the the woman in London who's an awesome DJ, but also like on drugs and shit. You know, and then we're gonna give a whole half hour to Nomi, and it's just
not balanced enough.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's just no balance, and another thing that kind of bothered me a little bit is, so we're getting all these glimpses into the lives of these different characters, and they all have like people around them, like, you know, friends, family, stuff like that. Everyone in the show who isn't a main character is a piece of shit. Like, they're all assholes.
Maybe that's what connects them.
I guess, like when you see the successful businesswoman in China, like, her brother isn't there for a meeting, so she's like, well, I'll do it. And she, you know, introduces herself to the guy, and he goes, but you're a woman. I'm here to close the deal. Women don't close. They open. You know? And it's like, oh, okay, you're an asshole. Cool. And then we get like this police officer in Chicago who, him and his partner respond to gunfire in this like ghetto area, and finds a kid who's been shot, and the cop's like, oh, we gotta help him. We gotta call an ambulance. And the partner's like, nah, like, no ambulance is gonna come to this neighborhood. And like, it then gets like legitimately upset that the other cop like picks up the kid and is gonna put him in the squad car, and they're gonna drive him to a hospital. Like, he's legit upset about this. I'm like, you're a fucking police officer. Like, this isn't.
That's kind of true to life. It's kind of true to life in one way, though, right? Because all the good people in society, the nice, noble people whose lives are worth keeping, are bonded by a psychic link where we can hear each other's thoughts, and the people who aren't are not. You know, like.
Right.
I mean, if you don't hear those voices all the time, maybe there's something you want to tell me, John. Maybe you are in fact evil and would let a child die, and you don't want to admit it.
Oh, I have voices like crazy. But then, okay, and then like, so this DJ from London, her boyfriend and his friend, they're these fucking idiots, just like always trying, like, oh, we're gonna do these crazy drugs and it's gonna be awesome, oh, woo, you know, those kind of assholes, and they're dicks.
Yeah, my favorite type of characters.
And then, like, even with Nomi, all right, like, her girlfriend's pretty cool, but of course she has a family that hates her lifestyle. There's a scene where she's actually confronted by a lesbian who says that she's not gay enough. You know, she's just like, just everyone else around her is just mean to her like crazy, and it's just everyone else in the show are just all assholes. And it's just. So there is one bit of the show in the first episode that I thought was really fucking funny, really clever, because when the first thing you see, when Daryl Hannah is like trying to reach out to all these people, is you see glimpses of them and like what they're doing, and there's this one bit where it shows this guy, he has like a gun at his side, and he's walking slowly down a church corridor, and he has like blood on his face and everything, and it looks super like badass, right? Like this guy's like an assassin or something like that. Later on in the episode, they actually show the scene play out completely, and he walks up, and this nun comes like, please don't do this. He's like, I have to, and he kind of pushes her out of the way, and the priest turns around and he's like, what are you doing, my son? He's like, I'm here to blow your fucking brains out. And it's the cheesiest fucking line you've ever heard in your life. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And all of a sudden you hear, cut, and then you find out this guy's just a fucking actor. And he's playing this part of like this really bad B-movie action star.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought that was actually really kind of clever. I was like, okay.
So
and he actually had another funny moment because they don't really know what's happening to them in the show. They're like, oh, okay, well, why am I seeing glimpses of other people's lives and stuff? But in the scene where Nomi is just getting her brains fucked out, her words, not mine. She literally says it afterwards, like, oh, you fucked my brains out. You see the actor in his trailer trying to get into character, and he just has this giant heart on. He keeps on like rubbing up against the wall. He's like, oh my god, just because he's kind of feeling her sensations. Right. Yeah,
that makes sense.
It's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a few more episodes, but.
So I don't remember if this came up when we were talking about it, but have you seen Stranger Things? I don't think you had last time we talked about it, right?
I haven't yet, still.
If you are watching a show on Netflix, I actually think you'd like that, because one of the things that is nice about Stranger Things, I mean, right off the bat, it's a very nostalgic show. It's definitely styled around 80s movies and things. Right. But one of the actual things about it is every character in that show is a well-rounded, human, normal person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are characters in the show that are dicks and bullies and bad people, but you often see different sides of them as well, and the characters that are different, the characters that are supposed to be less evil, tend to be real people, you know? And I think if that annoys you about that show, I think you might appreciate the opposite in Stranger Things a lot, actually. It's a really good show. It's really worth watching. I've actually been going back to Supergirl, because I didn't finish it. Me and Beth, we started watching it on season 1, and we did not finish that show, so we've been going back to try and catch up and get through it. And I like that show a lot in the same way as, like, you know how The Flash, I think The Flash is a really good show, but you know how it's, like, CW shows aren't necessarily, like, it's not what you'd expect from Jessica Jones or Game of Thrones, or, you know, it's aimed at a younger audience. It's still very much in that mold. And so, like, one thing that used to annoy me a lot about that show when I first started watching it was, the show is overtly, like, a feminist show. It wants to have strong female role models and be, like, the different challenges a female superhero would face compared to a male one. The way Supergirl would be treated differently to Superman in our society. Right. That is a big theme in the show. And something that used to annoy me when I first saw it was often it would be written very on the nose. Like, she would just come out and say things almost like she was reciting philosophy on the subject.
Yeah.
But the more I watch it, the more I realize that when you're dealing with an audience of teens, sometimes, like, on the nose is better. Do you know what I mean?
Sometimes you kind of have to just... Look, guys... Meninism isn't a thing.
Right. So it doesn't bother me as much. One thing that is really bothering me, and I know, like, I'm sure this will be addressed by season 2, but something that's annoying me as much this time as the first time is, it's still one show where, like, Superman is really felt by his absence in this show. But I thought it was interesting because it was what you were talking about with Mary Sue's in Sense8. And I know people don't. A lot of feminist critics have written about Mary Sue and said that it's often used in a very sexist concept, because anytime a female character is strong, someone criticizes them as a Mary Sue. But I still think the concept has value in terms of the overwritten author surrogate, because they do come in a lot. And at first I was worried with Supergirl that that's what that character was. She always seemed to be on the right side with no inherent biases of her own, do you know what I mean? She always seemed to have just the perfect answer. But the more I've watched it, the more I've realized what they're trying to do is... They have repeatedly actually justified that there are some inherent differences in her story compared to Superman's, because she's just at the beginning of her career, whereas he's at the end, you know? And as I'm watching it this time and getting a little bit further than I did last time, they do actually play with the idea that sometimes she's actually turning down help when she needs it for fear of being not being able to stand on her own 2 feet, you know? But they do it in a way that addresses it. It's actually, this time around, I think it's actually a smarter show than I realized the first time, you know? Hope it keeps running. I'd like to catch up. But I know that in Series 2, Superman actually makes an appearance in the show, and I haven't got that far yet, so I wonder how it's going to do it. But yeah, that just brought some stuff up.
I remember hearing the announcement about they were actually going to have a Superman show up. I was like, really? Like that seemed like a really weird thing to me.
Well, the problem is... The problem with the show is... They don't want Superman in the show often because it's very important to the show that Supergirl is credible as a hero in her own right, right? If you're going to make a Supergirl show and it's not going to be a Superman spin-off and it's just going to be out there, its own universe, Supergirl needs to be a credible character, absolutely, right? Makes total sense. So they don't want to have Superman be a regular in the show because in this show he is older than her. The setup they use is that she was sent with Kal-El in her own rocket to protect him. But
that's a comic too.
Yeah, she got an Edita on the way, and she arrived later and ended up being younger than him. Right. And he sends her to live with an adopted family, and he mentors her a little bit, but you never see him in the show early on. And it creates these odd things where, for example, the arc in Series 1, it's the Zod story, but it's with her aunt, I think it's Allura. But it's the same story of Kryptonians on Earth. They want to take over Earth and replace it. They're evil Kryptonians, right? Now, I get that it's her aunt, and I get that it's her show, but even when you want the show to stand on its own 2 feet, it seems pretty weird that she would be fighting all these Kryptonian soldiers and she wouldn't think that, like, well, maybe Superman would actually not only, like, be able to help, but would also kind of appreciate, being told about this and, like...
Right.
Maybe he'd want to know, or he'd feel like this is his story as well. A little bit.
Like later on during, like, the family reunion, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Aunt showed up and she tried to, like, what?
Right. Now, I don't have a problem with them not wanting to put Superman in a lot in Series 1, but if that's the case, you need a different villain for Series 1.
Yeah.
And then and that's the problem with it. They don't want to put Superman in because they don't want Superman's presence to undermine her, and I get that, and I think that's the right choice. But then they keep writing in these stories that Superman should be involved in. And then there's some strange things, like there's the third episode. She also spends a lot of time, by the way, fighting Superman's villains. And Jimmy Olsen's a main character in the show, and, there's third episode, she fights a villain called Reactron, who I believe is from the comics.
That sounds familiar.
And they establish that he's a character that Superman has fought many times, but he's never been able to beat, right?
Right.
And what she manages to do is she does something Superman's never done before, which is she figures out why he has a grudge against Superman. And she announces to the world accidentally through an interview that she's Superman's cousin. So Reactron, who has this grudge, travels to Edge City. Is it Edge City? No, that might be the other one. Maybe the Flash one. Or it might be Central City.
Star City. Central City.
It's a city. Whichever city it is. Yeah. He travels to a city to kill her, basically, to make Superman suffer. And she goes off to fight him, and Jimmy Olsen basically calls for Superman for help. And so Superman makes an appearance slightly off camera with some CGI thighs in that episode. You don't see him in it, but it's like a flash, and she's fighting him, she gets knocked to the ground, and then you basically see the edge of Superman come in and save her life.
Right.
And she's pissed. Like, she is really annoyed that he has called Superman when she's just starting out. And her answer is that, like, if she can't fight against one of Superman's villains, then it's completely over because everyone will see the city as a weak link, right? They'll see it as having no protection and she won't be a credible opposition. I get that argument, but just before Superman saves her, she was literally about to die. And in this episode, there's never any acknowledgement that like she was going to die, right? And that Superman saved her. And again, I totally get why, as a show, they want to do that. Great, makes sense. I totally understand. But then you need to write that situation better. You have to write it so she doesn't look like she's just angry for someone saving her life. And there's this, but it does end on this really nice moment where she does save the day. She does stop Reactron. She manages to take down a supervillain Superman never could. And it's slightly hollow, though, because they don't want to have a villain you've heard of to make that point. So you're like, but you're right, but this is some lame-ass B-list villain.
Right, yeah, Reactron.
Oh, yeah. So it doesn't really make the point the way they want it to. But then at the end of the episode, she's on... There's a really funny moment. She's on, like, one of the office computers, and she gets, like, an AOL instant message, like an IM from Clark Kent. The name comes up and it says Clark Kent, right?
Right. And
he says, congrats on defeating Reactron. You did something I could never do. Guess it was a job for Supergirl. And she says, no, yeah, thanks for saving my life. And he goes, no problem.
And the NSA is immediately like,
right. It says, his reply says, no problem, won't happen again. Talk to Jimmy, won't happen again, right? And that was my point. Like, what service is this? Is this like the press instant messenger service? You know, is Lois Lane on there in a minute? Like, what? Pardon? Like,
huh?
I think that kills. I mean, not that Supergirl's particularly careful anyway. By the second episode, she's told like 5 people.
They're using KIM, Krypton instant messaging.
It is so funny that he sends messages in an account from the name Clark Kent, just like, let's talk about Supergirl stuff.
Right. And that's always the kind of funny thing about like all the CW shows. Like, they are so fast and loose with the identity thing. Like, to a point where it's like, you know what, just do away with them. Well, like, why even bother?
There's a bit in that very same episode, because in this show, it's fairly late in Superman's career. Jimmy's an adult, and he's gone to this city to help Kara, having been told who she is by Superman. But he knows who Superman...
his job?
Right, he gets a job where she works, basically.
Oh.
And he knows that Superman is Clark Kent. He pretty much knows all Superman's secrets at this point. It's supposed to be that late in, right? Essentially. And Kara's got 2 main helpers. She's divided between 2 people. There's a secret government agency she works for, and then she's got her like main Supergirl team, which is Jimmy Olsen and her friend who works in the office with her. And they're just casually talking. They're just talking in the office. And Jimmy's like, look, when Clark was first starting out, he had problems too. And the guy in the office is like, wait, Superman's Clark Kent? So they're just casually discussing it in this office. And he's like really gobsmacked. But I was like, okay, so we live in a world where Clark Kent is so well known that a guy who works for a magazine in a city in like the other side of the country knows who he is, and nobody's pieced together that he's Superman yet. Like, it doesn't work if Clark Kent's famous too.
Right.
How is that supposed to come together? Like, surely someone's had the picture next to each other and be like, there we go, Clark Kent is Superman, sure. But then they always take that approach. They always take that approach recently that everyone just assumes Superman doesn't have a secret identity.
What was it, Mask of the Phantasm? There's a scene where Batman with the red pencil draws like the smile on the face, like, oh my god. Like, someone had to have like a picture of like Superman
and drawn glasses on him
black
once.
Pencil. Yeah. Oh my god.
Wouldn't it be great if after all that, after all those years, right, someone finally did it and Superman was like, I've not really been trying to keep this a secret. Like, I literally thought you'd all figured it out a long time ago.
Like, I really just have like corrective eye problems, you know?
Right. When I'm typing, but I don't type as Superman. Right. So
yeah, like Clark Kent's just always like wearing gunners. One Which, honestly, if they made gunners in like prescription, I might actually think about picking some up.
Yeah, why not?
For those who don't know what we're talking about, gunners are these glasses. They're like yellow tinted glasses that are supposed to alleviate the strain that monitors and screens have on your eyes.
I like the idea that the Superman would have that specific weakness. And he's like, in Krypton we communicated through crystal projection. We didn't have these tiny dot things, you know? I want to see a take on Superman.
That's what stands for.
You know what I'd like to see in the next reboot of Superman, in the new 52-2, whenever that comes along.
Right.
I want him to just be like, Superman can't see TV. I just think that'd be funny, because TV is an illusion, right? Like, your brain, when it sees lots of tiny dots together, it assembles the picture, right? And then when it sees lots of frames moving quickly, it sees motion. Mm-hmm. I'd like them to just be like, well, give him a new weakness. Superman's brain and eyesight is so good that when he looks at a TV screen, he literally sees an array of colored dots and individual still images. And his brain cannot. It's not weak enough for the tricks that make us see it as TV. That'd be great. Just have a Superman who just can't see TV. Because what a weird specific weakness that would be.
Right. It's like, quick, Superman, aren't you going to help? With what? On TV, the tech. Sure.
Oh yeah, what does that say at the bottom? Where is that? Where is that?
Yeah, sorry, I'm not. What channel was that? What were they talking about? The attack in Coast City. Right, of course. On it.
Yeah. And Superman would also be like 300 times smarter. Like.
I just read a lot now.
It should be a weird thing to do.
So you were saying earlier today you figured we had like time for one more topic.
Oh sure.
Said you were playing The Witcher?
I am. I think we talked about it last time a little bit. But
yeah, a little bit. You're kind of laughing about the very Scandinavian folklore feel to.
Yeah, which is nice. But I think I've kind of got why people like it so much now. Because on the surface, this game is it's a game like Skyrim, right? And everybody likes those, right? Big open world, fancy adventure, and I'm liking that. And that is fun, definitely. But for people who don't know, The Witcher it's a series of games based on a series of Polish fantasy novels. And you play a character called Geralt of Rivia, who is what's called a Witcher, which are these mutated monster hunters who they are born with the powers needed to take down mythological creatures. Basically, they hunt vampires and griffins and things like that.
Right.
And it's like a holy calling, except they don't do it for free; they do it for cash. One of the most interesting things about it is they are basically these chosen ones, the only people with the skills to take down monsters. But everybody hates them. Mm-hmm. They are subject to like massive racial prejudice. Basically, everyone hates witches. They call them names. They make fun of them. Make fun of their eyes. Make fun of their special particular looks. They are total outcasts and outsiders. But they are basically required to kill all monsters because they're the only people who know how to do it. And so it's kind of the story of a guy who... The whole world is set in war. It's set during an invasion. You begin during an invasion of one set of territories. And it's set during a war that is tearing apart this huge kingdom. So to get from place to place, you have to do missions that will give you these passes to get from area to area. And different areas are controlled by different territories. All these things are going on. But within this backdrop, you are essentially, not officially, but essentially... a non-partisan party, because you aren't perceived as belonging to any particular group, because everybody knows that you're a Witcher, who are inherently outsiders, right? Mm-hmm. So that's your setting. So you have your own particular quest that you want to do, and you can usually trade information or furtherance in the quest for helping people deal with problems relating to the supernatural. And over the course, you'll go through this plot, and it's pretty cool. And so you got one main plot which takes you through a quest. What you're trying to do is find your daughter, basically, kind of. And that's always your main thread. Everywhere you go, you're trying to follow this main plot, which is pretty good. Keeps the story nice and focused on this line. Sort of. I believe adopted, but essentially, thematically, your daughter. And within that, you have these side quests to do contracts for people. So you get your side quests, you can do your contracts, you're going to hunt beasts and do these different missions. It's very, very detective-y. You have to solve clues and things like that. But within that, it has a story structure to the main plot, like a Telltale game. So choices you make that might seem small and not particularly important will have long and splintering ramifications throughout the rest of the plot. So what you end up with is an open world game where you can go and do side quests that are huge and level up your character and do different things, with a narrative that has many, many, many different endings, depending on how you've played the game, that are planned out by your choices over a long period of time, rather than with a Telltale game where, yes, they come out episode by episode, but you can sink thousands of hours into this game exploring and kind of forget your choices before they come to bite you, you know? It's actually kind of amazing. It really does create a sense of being there. There are some things I don't like.
That would be kind of weird for me, though.
Oh, yeah?
Because, like, especially when I play, like, Telltale games, or, you know, those smaller games where, you know, your choices matter and stuff like that, I kind of, like, real quickly establish, like, who I want this character to be.
Right.
Like we had talked a little bit, like, when we were both playing Batman, which I still have to finish, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
But we both had different takes on who we wanted Bruce to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like it works in those small, self-contained chunks, like a Telltale game. But I feel like maybe I'd lose my grasp on the character over multiple hours, you know, like thousands of hours. You know?
So I'm not finding that with The Witcher 3. And the reason I'm not finding that is this is a very conversation-driven game. Every quest that you do, even if it's just a side quest, there are no quests in this game that are, you go to a guy and you ask him a question, and then he says, go do this thing, and you go do it. Every quest is, hi, will you help me do a thing? And this is what you'll get if you do, and then maybe you'll have a chance to haggle and things like that. But you can weigh up if you want to do it. And then when you go deeper into the quest, in all probability, you'll end up with a choice at the end of that too. And so no matter what you're doing, you always have an opportunity to reinforce what type of character you are. Like, I've been going out of my way to play it diplomatically. So, because that's what I like to do. I like to see if I can find a diplomatic option. And there is actually usually a way. So it feels more like, in that sense, it feels much more like Mass Effect. You know how Mass Effect was very conversational? Right. You could always resolve something. You could usually resolve something diplomatically, unless it was a story crucial moment. It's very like that. Imagine Mass Effect with the branching plot of a Telltale game in a world the size of Skyrim. It's surprisingly good, actually, and very locked down with characters. Like, a lot of people told me before they played this that they could spend hours and hours and hours just wandering the fields and stuff, and I'm sure you could. But what I find is, once I get caught on a plot thread, I can't stop. Like Skyrim, I could wander. I would wander in Skyrim and just run around and see what I could find and explore and find places and kill things in Skyrim all day. In this game, when I get on a story thread, I am on that story thread, because the writing and the characterizations in general are so good, the way a story leads into another story, and it leads you from point to point, and things happen you don't expect, that I'm kind of gripped by it. I think it's very good. I'm surprised how good it is, actually. The only downside I would say, question. Oh yeah, go for it.
Oh, sorry. From Unblazed says, "What's up? Have you guys played ESO, and would you like a Witcher Online?" I don't know what ESO is.
Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, okay.
I have played it. I don't think it's very good. I think it looks on the surface like the Elder Scrolls, but it plays like World of Warcraft. And the biggest area in which it plays like World of Warcraft is in the structure of the world. So Elder Scrolls games have scaling difficulty, essentially. So if you, as a level 1 character, wander out into the wilderness, you can do that because all the wolves and baddies, you might fight very difficult enemies, but the baddies will be relative challenge to you, right? Elder Scrolls Online doesn't work like that. It has the World of Warcraft type of system, so once you set up...
you can't go.
Right. If you start to explore in an Elder Scrolls game and you stop playing the quests and you head off, you will eventually hit an area that is just too difficult. Or you'll hit an area that you can't access with your particular faction. Or it's and that is unnecessary limitation that comes from just copying World of Warcraft for no reason. There's no reason to do it. The MMO market is flooded with people doing stuff because World of Warcraft does it without ever stopping to think about why World of Warcraft does it and whether it's a good thing. And I just don't think Elder Scrolls Online is a good game. Would I like a Witcher Online? It would depend on what it was. And if it was the same as World of Warcraft, no. Because we already have World of Warcraft. It's called World of Warcraft.
I could see a Witcher Online working kind of like GTA Online.
With contracts?
Right, basically. Like, you get... How GTA Online generally works is you get the open area to roam around in. And, you know, because it's GTA, most of the time you're actually spent, like, dodging fucking jet fire and people are lunatics. But you can turn on, like, passive mode so they can't hurt you. How I would basically see that working out is, yeah, you'd go to a town and you go to the contract board and you'd be like, oh, okay, I got this, this, and this. And then when you go to trigger that contract, it basically would set you, like, matchmake you with a party.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that would work. I've been trying to decide if you would like The Witcher 3. And I'm very torn on this because on the one hand, I know you don't like the very big open world games with the lots of stuff. On the other hand, I think the division between what is a quest, a side quest, and a contract actually clears a lot of that up. Do you know what I mean? Right. Because contracts are always going to be on those notice boards, and you can always get to the notice boards, you can do them in your own time, you know? And they aren't, broadly speaking, story content, whereas the quests and side quests are focused and pretty centered on the main plot and things that branch naturally from it. Like, 9 times out of 10, a side quest will begin because you meet someone, and they'll help you with the main plot, and then afterwards they'll say, when you've got time, I've got something you could help me with.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think that'd bother me too much.
And then the contracts are contracts, because that's your job. I think you might like it. I'd be interested to see what you make of it.
Like, side quests, for me, like, come down to this. Like, if a side quest doesn't... Like, I know it might sound weird, but I can explain the distinction. Just give me time. If a side quest pulls me out of the main story thread for no particular reason, it bugs me. It really starts to get to me.
Could you give an example of a side quest that does that in a game I've played?
Oh, boy.
I know this is going to be kind of tough, because I'm putting you on the spot. But yeah, I haven't played enough Dragon Age Inquisition, I don't think.
Let me think here. A game you've played.
Or a game I'll understand enough to get the context of it.
Oh, man, I don't know. Okay. I can do this. Did you play Knights of the Old Republic?
Yes, the first one.
Right. Okay. There was a time. There was. I think you're on Tatooine, or maybe it's another desert planet. And there's this whole bit where you have to do like the swoop racing.
Right.
And you have to do it once for the main plot. But then you can pick up a side quest to do it a bunch more times. And if you do it, you really don't get anything story-wise or otherwise. It's just like, oh, here's a bunch of credits. That's the kind of side quest that I hate, where it serves no purpose other than just being more content in the game.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my perfect example is always Dragon Age Inquisition. That whole Hinterlands area is just filled to the brim with side quests.
Yeah, they really
serve no purpose.
They really screwed that up as well, because I know a lot of people thought that was kind of funny, but the fact that they had to release tweets telling people to leave the Hinterlands wasn't good.
No.
Now I need to play that again.
Mass Effect Andromeda kind of does this too, though, where there are some side quests that like just don't serve much purpose.
See, I don't know how you would feel about the Witcher 3 side quests, because it depends on what you mean by serve a purpose. Because the thing about the side quests, well, the contracts is, for example, you get XP for them and you get money for them, right? Which, to be fair, you need XP and money for supplies in the game. It's not like Knights of the Old Republic, where it's not often you actually need money, you know?
Right.
Because you just loot every room in that same place.
I guess what I mean by serving a purpose is almost always narratively.
Right.
Like, I understand that there's, like, technical functions in a game, you know, money, XP, stuff like that. That's all well and good and fine. That doesn't bother me so much. But there's so many games out there where, like, a side quest is like, help, I lost, like, 12 of my chickens, and can you help me find them? And you do it, and that's, like, it.
So the thing about the Witcher side quests is they don't really have much relevance to the main plot, because why would they? But each side quest that I've played so far has been kind of its own little story, even if it's not a very long one. Like, for example,
which is fine for me. Like that actually sounds okay.
I did a side quest today where I had to go and speak to a soothsayer, right? And I'd passed him on the road, and he said he could tell my future if I came back to him. So I went back to him and I spoke to him, and he said that he tells people's future, but not for free. And if I gave him a meal, he would tell my future. So I gave him a meal, and he went into it, did the future telling thing, and my response, Geralt said, "That's not the future, that's the past." And I think it was something that had happened in a previous game, because Witcher 3 is one of those where data from saves carries across, although you've got to simulate it on PS4, because PC.
Right.
And he was like, "That's not my future." And he was like, "Yeah, but I'm getting old and weak now, but if you find me some roots, I can actually tell you the future." So, I found the roots, I brought them back to him, and he did a trance, and then he told me something that might actually be my future or not, but I think I'm going to have to get to the end of the game to find out, and that was kind of the quest. Now, I haven't explained it in the most interesting way, but the way it planned out was a story, you know?
Okay.
And then there was
one...
that
doesn't bother me, because there's, like, It's funny, because they come from the same company, but, like, I hate Dragon Age Inquisition's side quest, like how they'd handle it. But, on the other hand, I really enjoy, like, Mass Effect 2 and 3's way of handling side quests, where your side quests, one, there's not 100 and million of them, but two, they are a story within themselves that generally involve, like, your shipmates, you know. So while it's not key for the main plot, it does work in terms of like world building.
Yeah. Well, I would argue Witcher feels like Mass Effect's mission structure with Telltale's branching storylines in Skyrim's world.
I can dig that.
You might like it. I think you'd like it. I think you'd like the combat, which is fun. I like the signs, which are limited magic.
I still have to get through Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, I really enjoy that game. I really do. But, like, I've been playing so much Destiny. Like,
I must admit,
so much Destiny.
My favorite open world games are still Assassin's Creed, where the world is a character in itself, and all the extra content is so crap you can just ignore it and play the plot.
Yep.
Because the extra content in Mass Effect, it's Lucky Charms. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, every so often you get a story mission. I still think Unity had the best extra content.
Yeah, I actually would agree.
The co-op missions were good. And the way the co-op missions had plot and cutscenes and things, you don't see that in a lot of games. Multiplayer that is
like
plot-based.
I remember one of my favorite things about Unity is there's a whole string of missions that you can end up on where you're helping Napoleon hook up with Josephine.
Right.
Yeah, and those are fun.
Those co-op missions, you know, they were almost like Destiny, weren't they? Really, that structure.
Yeah, they were.
An Assassin's Creed game like Destiny would be awesome.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. That would be awesome. Like if you were just part of a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And you know when you have to do this stuff. It's in Unity. I think it's in all of them since Brotherhood, but where you have to send out your other assassins to do missions. If you got to just play as those assassins, being sent off to different places to do stuff, that'd be awesome.
And what if once you ranked up, this is something I'd love. Imagine, it's got to have an open world, because it's Assassin's Creed. It's got to have an open city. But it's like Destiny. And imagine you can earn currency in the game, right? Like, you know, premium currency. And you can spend that targeting someone on a mission. And other players can do those kills for you.
Oh, that'd be cool.
So you could tag people and say, all right, I'm going to put this offer out online. I will offer, I don't know, 10 coins to the player who wants to take this guy down for me. And then another player could log in, look and say, all right, what bounties are going right now, you know? That'd be cool, you know?
Well, that's kind of how, I've never played Monster Hunter. But from what I understand, this newest one, the Monster Hunter World, or whatever it's called, they have something like that, where you can do a mission, like all the missions solo, but at a certain point, like if it gets too hard, and you don't think you do it, you can launch a flare up, and then your mission immediately becomes available for online play.
That's a good system.
Other people who are like in the hub can see that, oh, the flare's gone up, this person needs help, and they can just jump in.
Right.
To where you are.
But
that's
cool. That in an open world when you're already in it would work pretty well too.
Yeah.
God, I really want an Assassin's Creed game to be like Destiny now.
I would like that.
Still Assassin's Creed when you're playing on your own, you know? Still a solid solo Assassin's Creed game, but with the option to go online, interact with other players, and play it like Destiny, and do missions and raids and things. God, I love Destiny.
All right. I think it's probably a good time to wrap up.
Yeah, definitely. You want to see us out?
Sure. You have been listening to, or watching actually. Yeah. You've been watching Those Aren't Biscuits, our weekly live stream show. Thank you for tuning in. Please give us a like and subscribe and help the show get bigger, help the channel get bigger. We need your help. Share it on social media. Go nuts. Tell your friends.
Tell them all.
I've been... get Grandma in there. Let her listen to an episode. She'd love the can fucker. I've been one of your hosts, Jonathan Cadotte. With me, as always, has been Owen Adams.
That's me.
Owen, where can they find you?
By going to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Owen Adams. There you go. It's pretty much all I'm giving out these days. It's easy.
Yeah. And you can find me on Twitter, which is @JohnCPerson, or you can go to my blog, which is johncperson.wordpress.com. And you can follow the show on Twitter, which is @NotBiscuits. Our YouTube channel, which you're already on, but, like and subscribe. Leave comments.
All that jazz.
Yeah. And have a good one.
Bye-bye.